Well, I think we're getting pretty close to time that we can get started, so I'd like to welcome everyone here this morning. Start off with maybe just a couple, three introductions. I'm Roger Crow. I'm the fiscal officer for Grove Cemetery. Our board members are here today, with the exception of our chairperson, and Paula Davis, representing the city of Kenton, unfortunately had a business conference in Chicago. And normally everybody would be excited about going to Chicago for a convention, but she was almost in tears that she couldn't be here today. This was something she really wanted to be at. She forgot about her Chicago commitment when we scheduled this. The other board members, Jerry Lehman, representing Buck Township, Joe Sherman from Goshen Township, and Ron Rogers from Pleasant Township. So I don't think we have any other city representatives here today, do we? I don't think I missed anyone. Okay, very good. Well, once again, welcome as we dedicate this new Committal building. We have had a lot of people drive by and meet us on the street and say, what is that building going to be? And you say it's going to be a Committal building. And what's that? But this is a building that will be available to hold what would normally be the graveside service, so that you can come inside on a chilly day or snowy, rainy, wet, miserable day and have a service in a little bit of comfort and in respect. So we're here to dedicate this building today, and I think we should start off with an invocation. And so if everyone would please bow their head. Heavenly Father, as we come together today to celebrate the completion of this building, we also gather to remember those who sacrificed so much to give us the right to assemble as free Americans. We come to remember and to honor the men and women who have served our country. We especially honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our freedoms. This building will not only be a lasting memorial to those veterans, but a refuge to all as they pay their final respects to veterans and civilians alike. We thank you for the generosity and forethought of the members of the American Legion, for without them, none of this would be possible. Thank you for your guidance as plans were made, dirt was moved, and a building was brought forth. We ask that you continue to watch over everyone who will use this structure and those who will clean it and maintain it. Keep it as a place of remembrance. Finally, we ask that you give comfort to the family of Charlie Hozak in their time of loss. It was Charlie's wish to be here with us today, and we know that through your grace, his spirit is with us now. Amen. Now I'll dismiss gentlemen from the American Legion to raise the flag, and I will call on Annabelle Humphreys, junior at Kenton High School, to come forward so that she can sing for us the national anthem. And Annabelle, we'll wait until they're ready to voice the national anthem. If everyone will please rise, gentlemen will please uncover.
Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed was the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much. Annabelle, and we're going to let her scoot out. She's with top 20 and they have a contest today, so she has to catch a bus. Now we'd like to move on to the official transfer of ownership. As this building was put up, it at current does not belong to Grove Cemetery. All of the expenses for the building were paid by the American Legion, so it's technically their building sitting on our ground. But a resolution has been prepared, and I will read that for everyone, and then I will ask the representatives from the Grove Cemetery Board and the American Legion then sign the resolution. But whereas the officers and members of the American Legion, post number 198, recognize that part of the respect due to the United States veterans and their families is the ability to conduct ceremony committal services in a comfortable setting protected from the elements. And whereas the officers and members of the American Legion, post number 198, feel that the families of all departed deserve the same comfortable settings for committal services. And whereas there are no buildings currently available for such services at Grove Cemetery, and whereas the officers and members of the American Legion, post number 198, have paid for the construction of a committal building in Section J of Grove Cemetery, and whereas the officers and members of American Legion, post number 198, wish to have this building available free of charge to all who wish to use it for committal services. Now, therefore, this committal building is hereby donated free and clear to Grove Cemetery for the use of veterans, their families, and all others desiring to use the building. Acknowledged this 4th day of November, 2017. Gentlemen, you'll sign both copies, so this book organization will have one. Well, I think it kind of goes without saying that this building will be today and for as long as it stands be dedicated to the veterans of our country. I think it's only fitting that that we have a building dedicated to their service, and it's kind of fitting that the American Legion was involved with that. And going back through some of the old minutes from Grove Cemetery, back on November the 19th of 1931, the American Legion had approached Grove Cemetery and asked for an area that could be dedicated for the burial of veterans. And that was the beginning of what we all call Vet Circle, which is located directly west of us here, kind of on the hill with the flag in the center and all the veterans buried around it. A number of years ago, that unfortunately was filled up, and we have since dedicated a new veteran section out on the new part of the cemetery on the east side. But the American Legion has always been involved with honoring the veterans of our country, and it's very appropriate that they're the ones that are here today for this dedication service. So with that, I'd like to ask Larry Phillips from the American Legion for his comments.
Thank you, Roger. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out this morning. As everybody knows, I'm Larry Phelps, Commander of the American Legion, Post 198 of Kenton. It's a pleasure to be here and help the community with the new Committal service building here at Grove Cemetery. This project began during March meeting, and we presented it to the cemetery in April. The board asked us when we would like to see it done, and we told them by fall, before the bad weather. Well, here we are today. The project has been wonderful. It's been wonderful working with the cemetery board, and it turned out phenomenal. And Gene, the night that you presented the building,
I had no idea I was going to be the guy drafted that building.
it turned out beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There were 5 of us on the building committee from the American Legion. Bob Height, Wes Broski, Harry Landsberg, myself, Charlie Hozak, who we lost Tuesday morning. Charlie asked us to get him here to this dedication this morning. His health didn't permit it. Just a month ago, Charlie was to our meeting. He got word to me 2 weeks ago that he wanted to make this dedication. We promised he would be here. We have his granddaughter and family with us this morning. Been a tough week. We're proud of the quality of the job done. I would like to thank all the everyone who helped with this project. As Roger said, this building's dedicated to memory of all veterans, and we feel will serve the community well for many years to come. Thanks everybody for coming up.
It's a distinct honor to be able to accept this building in behalf of Grove Cemetery Association. I'm just sorry Aunt Twilla, who was an active part in the planning and oversaw a lot of the construction work during the summer, is not here to enjoy and appreciate this ceremony. Our special thanks go to the Legion. As a board, we have discussed for I don't know how many years what to do with this area of the cemetery. We oftentimes receive questions why it was not developed as the rest of the cemetery. Some of you that have gray hair like I do probably remember that this was not always a nice grassy area in the cemetery. I see some heads shaking. At one time, I've been informed this was a pond. And somebody in their wisdom decided that that pond needed to be filled in. Well, those of you that have any contracting experience know that oftentimes a fill project becomes chunks of concrete, rolls of wire, unsightly things that get buried. This area is one of those. And we had discussed for a long time how to develop it, and had some plans in the works. But until Larry called me in March and said, Jerry, we got a proposal for Grove Cemetery, we really hadn't gotten our plans off the ground. Terry and Larry met with our board and discussed what they had in mind. We were quick to say, yes, we'll do what we can do, and it came to fruition, as you see. There's several of you in here that have been involved in working with government projects and know how slow the government works. Well, this project started the first Monday in April, and you see the results of it. Thanks to Gene Rainsberg, who came in with ideas for us. More importantly, the guy standing behind me is the one that had the overall vision of seeing how this area would be developed. He sat and spoke with Gene and talked about what we envisioned for a building. We, as board members, visited some other locations that recently have built buildings to get some ideas of what we wanted. The plan came together very quickly. We are very fortunate to work with local contractors who have been very cooperative, made their schedules fit our schedule, and made things happen quickly. And as a result, we have this beautiful structure, which will be here for decades to memorialize the veterans in the county. And I think it's quite appropriate that we have it done in time for Veterans Day. So thank you, gentlemen, for your work and for your major donation. This building would not have happened without your efforts. So in behalf of the Grove Cemetery Association, I thank each of you for your contribution. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Wes? You're more than welcome. I'll turn the program back over to Roger.
Well, Jerry kind of alluded to our contractors, our local contractors, and that's something that we specifically wanted to do when we developed this building, was use local people. We were able to do it a lot quicker because the American Legion was paying the bills. This wasn't a government project. This was an American Legion project. We just happened to be the ones coordinating the project for them. But Gene Rainsberg from USA Pole Barns, he came in, he left our meeting scared to death. And Paula is a force to be reckoned with, and when she has ideas, and they're not the same as yours, but we work very well together, I think. And Gene did everything he could to get this price down just as low as we could get it, so that we could get the building up for what money we had to work with. And Gene, thank you very much for that. I know I was out here, it seemed like every day when the guys were putting up the building and sticking my nose in where it just got in the way. But the colors, we can thank Paula, because she was a driving force to deciding on Gene's recommendations, how that was going to work. So I think that worked very well. We thank you, Gene. Buck from Buck and Roth Excavating, he came out here and he looked at it, and to someone who doesn't work with dirt, he immediately saw where the problems were, what the problems were going to be, and went to work to fix them. And I know that other projects got put on hold because I would call Buck and say, hey, they're going to be here tomorrow to do this, we need something done, and he was here. And that happened a lot. But he worked very well. I learned a lot about being a general contractor on a job, or the project manager, or whatever title you want to give it. It's a challenge to keep contractors in line and in order and get things done. But Buck was very accommodating, and that really helped us out a lot. Tice Construction did our concrete work. When we started this, I was afraid that this might be too small a project for them to even want to think about, because you think of Tice Construction, you think of a big warehouse out south of Kenton and huge projects. But Frank and Mark and Sean Terrell were more than interested in what we had here. I met with Frank out here. I gave him a rough idea of what we wanted to do, and he gave me an estimate, and then we changed it. And he never changed his estimate. We added more work, and his estimate never went up. But they were also very accommodating. When they get on a job site, it's hard for them to pull off and go somewhere else. But when we were putting up the building, it suddenly dawned on us, this is a different kind of building for Gene to put up. He normally has big overhead doors, and concrete people can run in and out with their equipment and don't have a problem. Well, we've got nice opening walk-through doors, and there was no place to bring a Bobcat in or bring in the equipment that they normally use to pour concrete. So we had this building partially up and decided we need to get this floor poured before they put the walls on it. And it happened. We called Frank, he was out here, and in one day the floor was poured, it was cut, and it was sealed. So that's just the benefit of working with local contractors and people that are willing to do things for you. Also like to acknowledge Kenton Marble and Granite. They are the ones that prepared the memorial stone that you'll see on the outside of the building. That was one of the requirements that when the American Legion came to us, they said, we want to put up a building, but we've got to have a memorial stone outside of it to the American Legion and the armed forces. And sure, more than happy to let you put a stone out there. And it worked out well, I think, coordinated with the flagpole. So we wish to thank Tim at Kenton Marble and Granite. We did have some other contributors. The flagpole was we were going to purchase a flagpole anyway, but the Ohio Elks Association has community service grants, and I was able to obtain one of those through our local Elks Lodge, and they will be paying almost all the cost for the flagpole and the solar light that will be on it, so the flag will be flying 24 hours a day and will be illuminated at night as is required. Also like to thank Price McElroy Funeral Home. We knew that we needed something to get the casket from the hearse into the building and then back out so that it could be taken to the gravesite. And they donated the use of the casket cart. So I want to thank them. Blake had hoped to be here today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. I really want to thank the employees of Grove Cemetery. I threw a lot of extra work on them because I'd come up to the office and say, hey Jim, can you have them run down and do this or do that? And they've never complained about it. They've been down here trying to keep the leaves off the concrete, keep it from staining, and doing all the things that we're going to keep doing to keep this building in good shape. But we do have several of our employees here today. Our superintendent, Jim Litzenberg. I lost you there. Jim has had some foot surgery, and so he kind of dressed down today. He wore his holy tennis shoe there on his left foot, his toes sticking out. But we appreciate him being here. In the red OSU sweatshirt is Amber Judy. She's our assistant superintendent. And down the front row, my standby singer for this morning, Jerry Haudenshield. We do have one other employee who wasn't able to be with us today, but we do appreciate everything that you guys do, not only for this building, for everything here at the cemetery. I would like to acknowledge Andy Crates from Stout Crates Funeral Home. Good to see you here this morning. And just to let you know, the building's open for business. You can now officially offer it to the family that they would like to use it. Absolutely. All right, so better go back to my sheet to make sure that I don't forget something here. Okay, there's one other new addition out here. Jerry had said that we had some plans for this area of the cemetery. Well, that included purchasing a niche wall. It's a niche wall columbarium is I guess the official name of it. But you'll see it out here just to the west of the building. It's a structure that has 48 little niches that can be used to put ashes from cremation in. And that was another challenge, getting that delivered and set on site. That structure out there came assembled, and it weighs 5,300 pounds, so you don't just pick it off of there and set it down easily. But it was delivered last week, and the interesting process was once they set it on that slab, it's got straps underneath it. The guy wanted his straps back. So we all wondered, how's this going to work? But we figured he knew what to tell us, and he did. He said, get some ice, put some bags of ice underneath it, set the wall down on the ice, take the straps out, the ice melts, and it settles right onto the concrete. Sure enough, it worked. So that was an interesting process, and but we're glad that's there. That is now also open for business. So I do have information over on the table that not only lists the policy for the use of this building, for the policy for the niche wall. So if you're interested in any of that information, it's available over there. And with that, I have nothing else to occupy your time. I think it got warmer in here while I talked. We accused Amber of that earlier, and she just didn't.
You're the one with all the hot air, Roger.
That is one drawback of this building, is we're out here, we have no electric, no water, no sewer. So what you see is what you get, but I can guarantee you that in February, when it's 2 degrees and the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, that this building's going to feel awfully warm once you get in here. But the windows all open in the summer. We've got screens for them, so you'll be able to be in here in relative comfort in the summer also. Does anyone else have anything they would like to say? Any of the other Legion members? Also like to recognize our Veterans Service Officer who is here today. Appreciate you joining us today. And everyone that did attend, I didn't know who was going to be here. I thought maybe it'd just be the Cemetery Board, the American Legion, and nobody else will show up, and we'll be eating donuts for a week. But we do have plenty of donuts. We've got some cider from another local contractor. Went down to Black Shady and Old Orchard and got the good stuff. So please enjoy some cider and donuts, and you can walk around the area, look at the niche wall out there, and the board members will be here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. But thank you very much for coming, and that concludes our service today.